Hey fam, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving straight into the action because history just flipped in Dalton, Illinois. The swearing-in ceremony for Dalton's new leadership wasn't just another local event. It was a full-blown political turning point, the kind that changes everything. On that stage stood Jason House, the man now sworn in as Dalton's new mayor. Alongside him, a fresh slate of trustees, hands raised, oaths spoken, and a crowd buzzing with energy. The atmosphere wasn't just excitement, it was electricity. People could feel something different in the air, a shift years in the making. If you've been following the non-stop chaos in Dalton or the circus down the road in Thornton Township, you already know. This wasn't politics as usual. This was theater, a show, a public reckoning for an era defined by one name, Tiffany Henyard. For years, she ruled the south suburbs like a force of nature, untouchable, unstoppable, and unfiltered. But the unthinkable happened. The empire collapsed. In one stunning political season, Tiffany Henyard lost not one, but two thrones. First, Dalton voters sent her packing after just a single term as mayor. Then came the knockout blow. Thornton Township stripped her of the supervisor seat she fought to cling to. Overnight, the so-called supermayor was out. The walls of power she built with loyalty, fear, and spectacle came crashing down. That's the story we're breaking down today, how Tiffany went from untouchable to unemployed. And what this massive power shift means for the people of Dalton. Because here's the twist. Tiffany didn't take her loss quietly. In classic Tiffany fashion, she fired back, vowing lawsuits, screaming, "This is illegal," into microphones, and promising to sue everybody tomorrow. Her words, not mine. It wasn't parody. It was pure Tiffany. The show never really ends. If you're sitting there thinking, wait, what just happened? Don't stress. This channel has covered every chapter of Tiffany's roller coaster reign, the scandals, lawsuits, the taxpayer money trails, and the viral meltdowns that made Dalton infamous. Once you see the full picture, you'll understand exactly why both Dalton and Thornton Township finally said, enough. The curtain fell. The spotlight dimmed. The show was over and change, real change, was finally on the horizon. But today wasn't just Tiffany's downfall. Today was about the reset. The moment belonged to Jason House and to the new trustees, who now carry the responsibility of rebuilding what years of dysfunction nearly destroyed. The ceremony wasn't routine. It was symbolic. It felt like rebirth, a cleansing of a village suffocated by drama and mismanagement. You could feel it in the crowd, relief mixed with cautious hope. This was Dalton's hard reset, its first breath of fresh air in a long time. Then came the speeches, raw, emotional, and honest in a way that hit different. Trustees spoke not as politicians, but as survivors of political chaos. They didn't sugarcoat the truth. They lived through it. But before we get there, let's rewind for a second to Tiffany's grand exit, because of course she made one. And it wasn't quiet. Tiffany Henyard didn't bow out with grace. She performed. Standing before a crowd that once cheered her name, she doubled down on her legacy. "Y'all know I'm the first, the youngest female mayor," she shouted. "Stop following blindly. Educate yourself." She painted herself as the misunderstood trailblazer, the victim of smear campaigns and verbal attacks. It was defiance, wrapped in self-pity, delivered with a polished politician's smile. Then, in a strange twist of tone, she tried to turn the moment into a unity rally. "Neighbor, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it," she said, echoing a preacher's rhythm. For a second, it almost worked. The crowd softened. But that moment of grace didn't last. Her words sharpened fast. She accused her critics of betrayal and ignorance, throwing jabs cloaked in wisdom. Then came the punchline, a callback, dripping in irony. "They asked if I'm going to sing the same song they sang when I lost. I said, no, I'm not returning ignorance with ignorance." The line landed like a slap. Everyone remembered exactly what she was referencing that night when Trustee Edward Steve lost his seat. Steve, who battled multiple sclerosis, stood at the microphone, frail but proud, giving his final remarks. And Tiffany? She grabbed a mic, laughed, and sang "Nah, nah, nah, hey, hey, goodbye." It was cruel, unnecessary, and unforgettable. Now here she was, pretending to be the victim, preaching unity. Her farewell speech wasn't closure. It was performance, the last act of a leader who couldn't see that the show had already ended. Then came the shift, the real turning point of the ceremony. Trustee Brittany Norwood stepped up to the microphone, and instantly the energy changed. No theatrics. No ego, just truth. She spoke about campaigning through freezing nights, knocking on doors when no one believed she could win. She talked about the neighbors who brought her hot coffee, the voters who shared stories of struggle and hope, and the faith that carried her through moments of doubt. She said every single vote she earned felt like someone handing her a piece of hope, and she promised not to waste it. Then came the confession. She once believed in Tiffany Henyard's promises, believed the talk about empowerment and service. But she learned the hard way that leadership isn't about slogans or selfies. It's about showing up, serving, listening. Her honesty cracked the room open. You could see heads nodding, tears welling. For the first time in a long time, Dalton's leadership felt human again. Then Trustee Kana Elshier took the mic, bringing fire and emotion that no script could capture. Her voice trembled as she thanked God, her family, and the voters who believed in her. She reminded everyone that she once won with 82% of the vote, Dalton's first female mayor before Henyard's rise. That pride turned to pain as her voice broke. "How dare you backstab me?" She shouted, the words slicing through the air. The crowd froze. Was she defending Henyard? Condemning her? Or just exercising years of betrayal? No one could tell. What was clear was the rawness of it, a wound still open, a community still healing. Then came Jason House. And with him, silence the good kind. No drama, no chest thumping, no campaign slogans. Just calm, steady conviction. He spoke about accountability, transparency, and rebuilding trust. About listening before leading. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried weight. After years of chaos, that calm was power. Because Dalton didn't want another super mayor. They wanted a servant, someone who led without the cameras rolling. Then came the woman who tied it all together, Clerk Allison Kirk. Her reflection took everyone back to decades. When a young Jason House first knocked on her door, campaigning against political powerhouse William Shaw, she remembered his sincerity, his clarity, and said she wrote him a check on the spot. 20 years later, she stood there watching that same man sworn in as mayor, the long arc of faith and persistence finally complete. She admitted that the last few years broke her spirit, tested her patience, and made her question whether public service was even worth it. But this moment, seeing Dalton's people finally reclaim their government, made it all worth it. "This feels like redemption," she said. When Jason House raised his hand and took the oath, it was more than ceremony. It was symbolism. The same Bible from his 2021 trustee swearing in sat before him. The same family stood by his side, but this time, the weight was heavier. A young relative held the Bible steady, reminding everyone that this wasn't just about politics, it was legacy. A story of survival, of resilience, of a village finally breaking free from the storm. Jason House's rise isn't just about him. It's about Dalton. After years of corruption scandals, FBI raids, lawsuits, and social media meltdowns, the people chose something radically simple: stability. They chose leadership rooted in service, not self-promotion. The storm hasn't completely passed, but the winds have shifted, and that shift is the story. The crowd that once gathered to watch chaos unfold now cheered for calm. The cameras that once caught shouting matches now filmed unity. The same stage that hosted years of dysfunction now hosted a promise to rebuild Dalton, one honest act at a time. The applause eventually faded. The cameras clicked off. But for the first time in years, Dalton's leaders left the room without scandal, without spectacle, just purpose. This is the new chapter, and it starts now. So what comes next? The work begins. Jason House and his team inherit a village battered by debt, division, and distrust. The challenges are enormous, but the hope for once feels real. Because this isn't the end of Dalton's story. It's the first page of something new. So, let me ask you, What do you want to see from Jason House's leadership? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe this moment matters, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in. Because Dalton's story isn't over. It's finally being rewritten. Isn't over. It's finally being rewritten.